Go to the Weather Channel on cable or weather.com online. Matt?
All right, Al, thanks very much. And now to a much talked about documentary out today about the 2008 election. It's called Media Malpractice, How Obama Got Elected and Palin Was Targeted. We're going to have an exclusive interview with filmmaker John Ziegler in a moment. But first, here's NBC's Norah O'Donnell.
Sarah Palin's arrival on the national stage drew a flurry of critical reports about the relatively unknown governor from Alaska.
Little did I know that was just the beginning.
Free of the constraints of a national political campaign, Palin sounds off to conservative commentator John Ziegler in the documentary Media Malpractice, aptly named because that's the accusation Palin makes about how she was covered. Case in point, the interview with Katie Couric.
What newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were tapped for this?
Palin stumbled on the answer and says the media twisted that moment into the suggestion that she didn't read at all.
Nobody's really asked her, why didn't you answer that question?
Because, Katie, you're not the center of everybody's universe.
In Ziegler's interview in early January, Palin expands on her answer, explaining that her reading habits do differ from some in the lower 48.
We read online, especially up here, because sometimes some newspapers don't reach us for a couple of days.
She acknowledges that she fumbled the Couric interview, but she also accuses the campaign staff of muzzling her.
I'd like to be able to express, I think, more of who I am and who my family is and what our state represents.
Some initial media reports about Palin were later proven false, like whether she banned books from the local library in Wasilla. She did not. She disputes other reports as distorted, including ones that said she once likened America's invasion of Iraq to a holy war.
Our leaders, our national leaders, are sending them out on a task that is from God. Obviously, it was taken out of context.
What Sarah Palin does is she takes a few outrageous incidents, like those who question whether Trig was really her baby, and she uses that to paint with a broad brush the entire media establishment.
Palin says she's not whining about coverage of herself, but gets defensive about negative attention focused on her children, particularly the pregnancy of teenage daughter Bristol.
That's a hurtful one because Bristol and Levi are trying to do the right thing.
Still, just last week, Bristol sat down with Fox's Greta Van Susteren to discuss her son, Trip.
He brings so much joy. I don't regret it at all. I just wish it would have happened in 10 years rather than right now.
For today, Norah O'Donnell, NBC News, Washington.
John Ziegler is the filmmaker behind this documentary. Hi, John. Good morning. Nice to see you. Let me understand your reasons for making this. Were you outraged by the coverage of Sarah Palin and the presidential election in general and set out to prove the case as to why you were outraged, or did your outrage grow in the process of making this?
Well, I had outrage all over the place. I was outraged during
more than enough to go around?
Yeah, there was lots to go around, Matt. I was outraged during the primaries. I think the Hillary Clinton supporters have an awful lot to be outraged about, and a lot about this film, a lot in this film is about the primaries and how the media completely treated Barack Obama differently than they did Hillary Clinton. And then when Sarah Palin entered the picture, we got to a whole new level of media malpractice, and I felt as if there had been an awful lot of misinformation about Sarah Palin. I set out to prove that, and she did an interview with me that was far more extensive than the report you just indicated.
Sure.
It's the entire interview is going to be on the DVD that's out today, and I hope people will take a look at it.
So before I get into specifics, is this a documentary in the truest form of the word, or is this a documentary in the form that a Michael Moore tends to bring to the screen?
I'm no Michael Moore because I have facts and a lot less fat. So I'm no Michael Moore. But so this is a documentary that actually tells the truth about the overwhelming evidence that the media had an agenda here.
So there was a concerted effort, in your opinion, on the part of the mainstream media, let's make sure we separate that out, and I guess that would include our show here, but to tear down this person and ask different types of questions than we would ask or anybody would ask of other candidates.
I think the evidence is overwhelming, and it's in my documentary, that Sarah Palin was held to a completely different standard than Barack Obama or Joe Biden, and I think John McCain and Hillary Clinton were also held to different standards. You guys were in love with Barack Obama from very early on, and it showed in every single element of the news media coverage. This is like trying to prove Barry Bonds did steroids. I mean, this is the easiest case in the world to prove. I can't believe I'm the only one trying to prove it.
I mean, obviously, you can say we were in love with Barack Obama. We could sit here and have a 2-hour show on that alone. But let me stick to your documentary for a second. When you watched the Katie Couric interview with Sarah Palin, what was your initial gut reaction? What did you walk away thinking?
It didn't go as well as it should have. But I also...
Is that an understatement?
wait a minute. I urge people, and I urge you, Matt, because you've been up to Wasilla.
I know.
You know Sarah Palin. You know that this is a lie, that she's some sort of an idiot or a moron.
No. Okay, but that's an extreme statement.
Tell America right now
that's an extreme statement. I'm just asking you.
Is it not a lie that she's an idiot? You know it, Matt.
Of course it's a lie. No,
it's a lie. So
yeah.
you're acknowledging that the media perception of her is a lie.
I don't think that everybody in the media ran out saying Sarah Palin's an idiot. Let me stick to the questions here. When she was asked some pertinent, basic questions that you would want your vice presidential candidate to answer, did you think she handled them well?
Well, I did not, but I also now believe, in fact I know because of my interview with her and the research that we've done, we've put in the documentary, that numerous episodes in that interview have been completely misstated and misunderstood and used by the media to eviscerate her credibility with independent voters that were so drawn to her that threatened the Barack Obama candidacy. The evidence is overwhelming here. She sets the record straight in this documentary, and I urge anyone that cares about the historical record and about the nature of our media and this democracy to check this out.
I guess what I'm looking for here, John, is when you listen to the questions asked by Katie and other people, for example.
Give me an example.
Well, I'm just saying, did you think any of the questions were unfair? Or are they questions that would fall in line with what you would want someone seeking the second highest elected office in the land to answer?
I am all for rigorous questioning. However, it should be the same for Barack Obama as it is for Sarah Palin. And what happened with Sarah Palin was the answers that she gave were treated in a completely different fashion than similar bad answers given by Joe Biden or by Barack Obama.
Well, Joe Biden has been lampooned by members of the media and comedy shows. And
not even close to what happened to Sarah Palin.
Sketch comedy's been done on him putting his foot in his mouth a lot.
It's all it's all about a joke. Isn't he funny? There's nothing. It's all harmless. The reality is everything about Sarah Palin. We did a poll, which you can see at MediaMalpracticeMovie.com, scientific poll proving that voters knew all the bad information about Sarah Palin because people like you repeated it constantly, over and over, even though you know, since you've been to her home, that it's a lie, that she's some sort of a moron. You know that. Come clean. Be the A-Rod of the media. Come clean, Matt. You can do this right now in front of America.
If I were the A-Rod of the media, I'd give you half the truth. But I think that you're making it personal with me is not going to work in this particular situation. But let me ask you this question. In what we see in this documentary, if she decides to continue in national politics, is her stance going to help or hurt her?
I think she needs to set the record straight. I think anyone that cares about the truth should check out this documentary. I personally believe it's going to be very difficult to overcome what the media did to her in 4 years. I personally would like to see her run in 8 years because you guys are going to make sure Barack Obama gets reelected no matter what. So I think 2016 is probably a better shot for Sarah Palin. But more importantly than that, this is about the nature of our news media and the nature of our democracy, and the record has to be set straight about what happened here because this was dangerous regardless of your political persuasion.
Let's just make sure we understand, though, as I say goodbye, that you're asking me to defend a comment that Sarah Palin is an idiot. I never made that comment.
No, but you know that the perception of her is not true because you met her.
Don't make me defend something I never said.
No, but that is the perception. And, and Matt, as far as you, I thought your coverage was pretty good, except I think you and Barack...
you wouldn't know that from what you just said for the last few minutes.
I do think, though, that you and Barack had no problem being in each other's personal space quite a bit. You seem to be getting along pretty well, and I doubt that you would have...
I apologize for that, John. I got along with a guy. I apologize for that, John.
He certainly likes you. No doubt about that. Matt, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much. 7:44. Media Malpractice is out today on DVD. Up next, the good, the bad, and the beautiful. Al works Oscars red carpet, and Stacey London offers